Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mir Zahir Abbas. I am the Operations Manager of SOICEP. Welcome to today's webinar. The regular ground rules. All the attendees to the webinar will be on mute by default. We will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. You can type your question on the chat window and it will be responded after the completion of the presentation. This webinar is part of weekly series titled Samgajadvam. May we all progress together. The objective is to cover different
Now,
Hello, Madhavan.
now it's audible. Abbas.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, right. So I think you need
Hi,
to.
Madhavan.
Hello. So, yeah, Abbas, I think you need to enable. So, yeah. So, good afternoon all. So, let's start the webinar. I think Abbas gave me introduction. I just jump into agenda. So, today's agenda, we'll just recall the part one of this part two, I mean, this two-part series. So, there I'll be like uh, just discuss about the previous important things that we discussed in the last webinar. So then we'll see GitLab and Jenkins. So we'll just discuss about GitLab and then Jenkins. So then I'll have this I'll have prepared a live demo for GitLab. So there we'll be creating a pipeline. So then we'll be integrating this security tools into the pipeline. Then we'll see just brief think about Jenkins, and then we'll get to the summit. So that's it. Oh, okay. So we'll just move on to the next slide. So, yeah. So just a recap. So DevOps, as I said, it's a philosophy that software development people. Is that clear now? Someone put message saying like it's not audible. So is that clear now? Now? Yeah, fine. So yeah, as discussed in the previous webinar. So DevOps is a philosophy that that we are practicing in the in the development lifecycle process. So there we have these different stages, namely plan, code, build, test, release, then deploy, and then operator monitor. So here, as the name picture says, we have different tools in each and every phases so that we can automate the entire process with the help of those tools. So just see a simple pipeline. So I need to I just simply go through the pipeline which is implemented in DevOps. So and here you can see in the default, I mean in the DevOps pipeline. So usually the security will be in the last page. I mean the towards the end. So after the deploy only the security people will come into the picture, and then they'll do this pen testing or the vulnerability assessment kind of thing. So they'll report a vulnerability as the picture says. So then this I mean after the vulnerability is reported, I mean the developer will remediate the vulnerability and then again push the code to the pipeline. So sorry, so this entire pipeline will happen again. So you can remember. So we introduce the topic call, then we introduce a topic. So a problem with screen. So yeah, so we introduce a topic called left shifting. So that we'll place a security in the early stage of the pipeline. So you can see in the picture. So we have introduced this automated source code review process uh, in the first, the beginning of the pipeline. So that if it is in place, so the tool will, uh, find a vulnerability and report the vulnerability to the developer. So uh, developer come to know about the issue early in the pipeline. So early in the stages or early stage. So we can reduce the time that would have been wasted in this, in the other steps if you have followed the traditional way. So you can remember that I say this idea called as left shifting. So moving the security towards the left of the pipeline in the traditional pipeline. So in this way, we'll reduce the cost and we'll increase the effectiveness of the delivery. So right. So basic goal of the DevSecOps is introduce security in each and every phase of DevSecOps. So as you can see in the diagram, so we have uh, some security aspect to every stages of the DevOps, right? So plan, we have threat modeling code, we have this different kind of testing like dependency checks, SAST, pre-commit checks. So then build, we have this security unit testing. Test, we have in the test phase we have this DAST. So similarly, we have other things also. During deploy, we have the configuration reviews. Then we have this user pen testing and all after the deployment. So I'll just show you this simple pipeline. It's with a simple pipeline of DevSecOps. So you can see right now, in the first stage we have this SCA, secret scanning and SAST tools. After build and staging deploy, we have DAST, dynamic application security testing in the after staging deployment. So we have infra and compliance scanning in the in the before production deploy. So underlying this, we have a vulnerability management system. So there we'll get all the reports from these tools, different security tools, and we'll we'll see it in a dashboard kind of a way. So there we'll be managing, make it as a false positive or creating a ticket in Jira. So those kind of managing or accessing those things comes in the vulnerability management tool. So these are all the different types of tools involved. So secret scanning, we have CA, SAS, DAST, compliance, infrastructure as code, vulnerability management. So I'll just go through this each and every tools briefly. So pre-commit hooks are security scanning. So this I have mentioned, right? So usually developer accidentally put the credentials or tokens hard coded in their code, right? So we need to find out as early as possible. So for that we'll use these pre-commit hooks or secret scanning technique. So this will be two stages of. This can be implemented in two stages. One either really I mentioned, right. So in the last session also mentioned. So you have these different plugins. So you can install in the developer environment. So then the tool, that plugin will notify if you have hard coded anything before committing. So that is you can call it as pre-commit hooks. So you can also implement in another way. So after the commit phase, you can use it tools. Different tools are available. So which is Git Secret, one of them. So I'll be showing you another tool also. So So after the commit stage also, you can find the secrets if it is hard coded in the code. So I'll be showing you the example of that kind of thing. So then we have this after components composition analysis. So as I said, will be most of the applications nowadays will building or making use of different plugins libraries, right? So uh, we need to find a way to detect those detect if you are using any vulnerable or outdated libraries or plugins used in our code. So for that we have these different tools, dependency check. So every language we have different tools. So dependency check we have shown you. So then we have this static application security testing. So which is doing a automated source code review in the code base. So this is also, this will run simply on the source code, simply on the files. So this does not require any, compiling the code or posting of code. So you just need a file. Then you can run these tools against the uh, code base. Then this tool will uh, spot you the vulnerabilities if it's found. So this also have the potential to find SQL injection, cross-site scripting, those kind of critical bugs also. This also spot was, vulnerabilities that most of the vulnerabilities that have comes under this was top 10 categories. So then we have dynamic application security testing. So this we require. So this is also uh, kind of scanning thing. So for this to run, we need the application to become to be in the running state or to be hosted in infrastructure. So if you take a web application, then you need to be that web application need to be hosted in some server. Then you are scanning this tool against that URL or the IP kind of thing. So this is that. So this also have the potential to find most of the vulnerabilities in the WASP top 10 category. So then then I have this compliance as code. As I said, most of the organizations now have this compliance that they need to follow, right? So this compliance are basically rules that can be written as a code. So for this, we'll write set of codes for the rules. Then we'll just run those codes in the infrastructure. So infrastructure or the application depends on the compliance that they follow. So for this, we have inspect and then the things. So we have then security, infrastructure as code. Um, so this is basically performing some scanning and configuration review on the infrastructure. So for this also we have several tools, or you can also write a code, write some scripts to find out the vulnerabilities or the misconfiguration. So this is basically uh, scanning for the misconfiguration in the infrastructure. So then we have this vulnerability management systems. So the tools that we have discussed about will generate report, right? So we need a centralized server that there we need to get all those report, and then the tool, the vulnerability management tool will need to give us a sort of a dashboard and managing kind of a thing. So I'll be showing you this tool. So yeah, so to do this, to integrate these tools into a pipelines, we have this different CI/CD tools. So as I said, CI/CD, you might have remembered, right? So uh, CI/CD is way to automated. We'll create a pipeline that will automate the phases that are discussed on the DevOps or DevSecOps, right? So to do this, we have different tools, different CI/CD tools. So the most popular one is Jenkins. Then we have GitLab. So I'll be showing you most of the demos in GitLab. Then I try to show you in Jenkins. So I'm not familiar with Jenkins, but I'll show you some simple uh, way to create a pipeline or kind of thing. So for that, I mean, and also we have Bamboo, Bitbucket, Travis EA, which is I guess the most of it's a upcoming popular CI tool. So not only this, we have plenty of other tools also for facilitate this CI/CD. Then let's discuss about the Jenkins. So Jenkins is an open source tool, uh, written in Java. So you need to install this tool in your environment, and then this tool has this CI/CD, like I said, right? So with this tool we can create this CI/CD pipeline uh, right from the developer push the code. So that from that, right, like building the application and putting them in a staging environment and performing this automated unit testing, uh, QA, and other things like, and then uh, get those code and push it to the deployment stage. And also you can configure those infrastructure here also. So before moving them to the infrastructure, you can configure the entire system with the help of Jenkins here. So one more thing about Jenkins, that you need to install it in your environment. So you should have a server. Then you'll just need to download this Jenkins board and then install this in your environment. So this may require if you are using other tools, then you need to use other tools, and then you can install this. Sorry, you can integrate other tools with this Jenkins, like Git. You can integrate with the Jenkins. Yeah. So GitLab. So for this seminar, we'll be mostly seeing GitLab. So GitLab, like mentioned in the slide, web-based tool, which gives us way to create per CI/CD pipeline, and also it has this Git support. So you don't need different uh, Git services like Git. You don't need GitHub or something like that. So they have this Git, and then they have the CI/CD features also. So you can make use of it as both Git, and then you can create pipelines and all. So this is a great solution for DevSecOps. So you have everything, right? So from Git to and the entire pipeline, you have the same. So we'll be mostly discussing about GitLab here. So GitLab comes in two different variants. One is SAS, so software as a service. So you can use, so GitLab has, I guess, GitLab.com. So that is a domain they are providing. So you can use their cloud service. So there you can create project, you can build pipelines, you can run the jobs there. So they will give you the machine and all. So you need to pay for them. So they have some free trials also, but if you're developing from application from scratch, you need to pay them. So basically, you just, it's like GitHub. So you go there and create your project. Then if you need uh, what do you say, uh, if you need to create pipeline and all, so they have the different runners and all. So runners will discuss later. So they have this infrastructure ready for you to run your CI/CD pipeline. So, and also they have on-prem variant also. So you need to install the GitLab in your local system. Then you can make use of it. So that is what I'm going to show you. So I have installed the GitLab and other requirements for it. So I'll just show you that. So yeah, so we'll just see GitLab's architecture. So you can see the user, which is what we. So we'll just push the code or design the pipeline, everything from the in the GitLab server. So GitLab server is nothing but a web app. So you're going to see, but just like yeah, GitLab server is just a web app. You can access just a UI for you, like to access. Push the code or create the pipeline. Every action you are doing is goes under this GitLab. Then you will be running these tools, right? So every tool, security tools and other deployment, every build that you are running, which will be handled by the runner. So with GitLab runner, so you will be design a pipeline. So let's say you will create a pipeline to run. What do you say? To run a SaaS tool against your in your code, right? Then GitLab, so you will write the pipeline in your GitLab server. Then GitLab will hand over this instruction to the GitLab runners. Then GitLab runner will run the commands that you have written. Then it will pass on to the GitLab server. Then you will see the output of the jobs that you have written. So we're going to see, but just to give you an idea, so there is two different things. So if you are installing in your environment also, you need to install these two, GitLab server and then GitLab runner. So GitLab server is nothing but uh, like a UI that you are going to create your project, create your pipeline like that. So the code that you are written in the pipeline, right? So that need to be done in somewhere, right? So that processing those creating pipeline, I'm sorry, creating builds and other processing goes in the GitLab runner. So I guess that gives you an idea. So then we have GitLab runner. So runner, uh, it's like a agent. So you just wait for the GitLab server to assign the job. If it is a job, then it's just run the commands that written in the file, then gives you the output for output of what written. So what told to run. So this is a core concept of GitLab. So GitLab runner. So and so reason because GitLab is famous is it's mostly supported by most of the what you say OSs. So like Mac, you can run Linux. Most of the Linux flavors or Windows, you can run it without any without any other requirements. So in case of Jenkins, you need Java. So here you don't need anything. So you just download the code and then you straight away install these two different things. So this is GitLab runner is purely written in Go. So that is also a reason why this GitLab is supported in many different OS flavors. So runner I'm keep on saying, so you get confused. So I'll just show you this. So runner is a application that you install in your either in your server or in your laptop or anything. So it's just an application that runs your instructions. So you can install it anywhere in your laptop or your server or anything anywhere you want. So one more thing about GitLab runner. So inside GitLab runner we have this executors. So we have so executor, to give you an idea, it's like a environment of of what you have running. So if you want to run a PowerShell command, so PowerShell scripts, you need obviously you need Windows system, I mean the uh, PowerShell environment, right? So then you need to choose this. So they have different executors, so which is shell, Docker, Kubernetes, SSH. So then they have VirtualBox, other things also. So if you take shell, so if your requirement is to run a PowerShell script, then obviously you need a Windows system, right? Windows environment, right? So you can install this GitLab runner in your Windows server. Then you can choose the shell, what is it? Shell executor. Then you can you can run this PowerShell scripts there. So shell is nothing but an environment where the assigned job will run. So we have different type of shells. So each have different uh, uses. So I'll just give you an idea about each and everything. So we have shell. So like the name says, it will run your job in the like it is running in the terminal of your system. So if you give a shell as a executor, then if you write any like any simple command like ipconfig other things, so then it will run in your install. I mean, in your system which GitLab runner is installed. So shell is directly run your command into the system that you have installed the GitLab runner. So I'll show you this shell. That is what I'm going to use here in the entire entire demo. So then we have Docker. So Docker, you may know about this. So Docker. So if you choose Docker as executor, your instruction jobs will run inside the Docker image. If you need to choose, if you choose Docker as executor, then you need to provide the Docker image there. So if you give Ruby or other Python, other other images, then whatever you return in the job will run inside the Docker image. So this is Docker executor. Then we have this Kubernetes. So there, if you give, if you choose Kubernetes as executor, then your jobs will like treated as a pod and POD pod. Then it will run by the Kubernetes sets, the clusters and also. So that is that. So SSH. So if you choose SSH as your executor, then this entire job will run in the. So if you choose SSH, then you need to mention what system you are going to, connect to the connect this SSH with. So basically, if I have a system A and system B, so uh, I'll, so what you say, the runner is installed in system A. So I'll choose. So if I want to run something in system B, so then what I will do is then I'll choose this runner. So the runner's executor as SSH. Then I'll connect this SSH with the system B. Then I'll run this job. So that job will run in the system B via the SSH connection. So this is a these different things will be used in different scenarios. So most of the times, if you're a student, you are learning DevSecOps means you can use either you use Shell or Docker. So or also if you are an organization that you have DevSecOps or other different things in your place, then mostly uh, the organization go for Shell or Docker. So this is safer thing. So the entire thing will go runs in your environment. So other things we have other different executor also, which is Docker machine, VirtualBox parallel. So different things also are there. But just to give you an idea, I shown you here these 4 things. So then I'll just show you how this GitLab runner will work. So you have this GitLab, then GitLab runner and executor, like I said. So just to give you an idea, so if you create a project in GitLab, so then the GitLab runner will assign a token to that project. So then you'll register this token with the GitLab runner. Then the token. So if the token is registered, then this entire what you say, the entire jobs will taken care by the runner, by the runner. Sorry. So this I think a little confusing, but I'll show you how to how to register a um, runner, and then everything I'll show you in the latest in the demo part. So don't worry if you get confused. So this is the what do you say? This is what we are going to do. We're just making use of 4 different types of tools, namely. So we are using Trufflehawk to scanning the secrets. Then we have Bandit, which is a SAS tool. So suppose which is for Python. So I'll choose a Python vulnerable Django application to demonstrate this. What do you say? Demonstrate this in type DevSecOps thing. So the tools will also be like uh, mostly supported by. Mostly will work on the Python. Supports a Python kind of thing. So Trufflehawk we are using for secret scanning, and then we have Bandit tool, which is a SAS tool for Python. Then we have Safety, which is also Python related SCA tool, which will check for the vulnerable plugin or outlet libraries. Then we have Dash. So for Dash, I'm not using I'm not using any. So like I said, Dash need a running application, right? So I'm not hosting anything to the server or anything. I don't have any server, so I just use some vulnerable application that available on the internet to run this app scan, Zap, then Nikto, and then Nmap to run this thing. So simple, just these 4 things. So let's just I'll share the screen. So
Madhavan, you're sharing your screen, right?
yeah, no sir. Now is it visible? I guess the
Yes,
Windows
it's visible.
screen.
Windows
Yeah.
screen is visible.
So this is the GitLab, this is the dashboard. So I have installed it in. So let me give you an introduction about what the environment is. So I have a Ubuntu system running in the VMware. So there I have installed both GitLab and GitLab Runner inside that. So like I said, right? So you need to install 2 different things if you need to if you're going to use GitLab. So you need to install GitLab server, then GitLab Runner to run the CI/CD pipelines like that. So I have this Ubuntu system there. I have installed both GitLab and GitLab Runner. So let's just once again.
Can you make the screen little bigger and also zoom it to some extra percent? The fonts are very small.
Yeah. Is that okay
Yes,
now?
yes, this is clear.
So this is actually this. So I'm going to use this vulnerable machine. Vulnerable. I'm going to create a new project. So this will be a little slower because I have assigned only lesser amount of resources to the VM machine. Bear with me. So yeah. So I'm going to import this URL that I have taken from the Git. So that is a public domain only. So project name will be Django. Make it as private. Yeah. This will create a clone project from the Django in the project available in the GitHub. can see the project is imported here. So that's it. So while when then I mean, if you created the project successfully, then you need to register the runner with this project. So for that, you need to go to the settings CI/CD. So settings CI/CD. If I go here, I have this different settings available for this, but I need to register the runner, right? So I just go to the runner part. Here, if I go here, I have two different categories. So for runners also two different types is there. So one is specific runners, uh, that is what I'm going to use. Another one is shared runners, which mostly will be hosted in the cloud environment by the GitLab. So I'm not going to use that. So I just disable the di- disable. Again. Yeah, I disabled it. Uh, so now you can see here the URL of this project and then the registration token. So this is what we need to use it while registering the GitLab runner. So to register the GitLab runner, so I have taken this system where GitLab runner is installed. So this same Ubuntu machine. So I just go and register this GitLab runner. For that, we have this command. So GitLab runner register. So I need to make use of this root privilege. So that I use this sudo command. So you can see it is asking for that URL. So I'm just copying here. The registration token. Some description. So you can give it here. For tags, this is the important part. You need to give a unique value here. So this is a tag for the runners. So that you can call this tag whenever you want to run this. Make use of this runner. So I'll just give size here as a tag name. Then it is asking for us to choose an executor. So you can see here Docker machine, shell, Docker SSH. So different kind of executors are available, but I'll be using shell like I said. So I'll just put shell here. So runner is registered successfully. So for refresh this, you can see. You can see here that this runner is online and I'm ready to go. So in case if you are not registered it properly, this will light up in a different color. Maybe it is a different symbol also. So yeah, so then I just go and create a pipeline. So to create a pipeline, every CI/CD tool have a different way to do. Here in GitLab, we have a file name GitLab CI.oam. So there you need to write down all the instruction for the pipeline. Then this tool will what do you say? Tool will sorry, the runner will paste this entire command for the pipeline. GitLab OAM. So the name should be also dot GitLab CI.oam. So initial part, we need to declare the stages that we are going to use. For now, I'm creating this test as a stage. So for like showing you this thing. Build, like say, name it build. stage here, you need to put it a stage name that you have declared above. For tags, you need to have this.
You can just increase the size. I think the font is looking very small.
Yeah. Then I have just echo hello. So simple. Okay. So just commit this change. So for by default, uh, if you change or and if you commit anything, the GitLab CI/CD pipeline will get triggered. So I'm going to see whether it's created. So you can see here it is passed. I mean created and run also successfully. Yeah, you can see here. So this entire thing will happen before creating this. So running GitLab runner, preparing still as executor, everything will go on, right? So the command that I have mentioned here will get executed. So before going that, I'll just show you the commands that I have, show you the tools that I have installed. So for TruffleHawk, this is the TruffleHawk. This will be little smaller, but I don't know. Create this. So I'll share this command with you in the chat after this webinar. So don't worry that you have missed this command. So this is the command for to run this. What is it? To run the ShuffleHawk tool on the present directory. So I am in the Django NV. Django NV folder. So before the start of the session, I have clone this Django NV into my local system also. So I'm going to just scan this Django NV the TruffleHawk tool. So you can see it is throwing the output in the console, and also it has generated this tool which is secret.json here. So just to give you, so this is entirely grammable. So you can see here that I have copy pasted before this webinar. So you can see this is the output of the TruffleHawk tool. So once again, so I hope you can see my Ubuntu screen here. This will be, I guess, bigger. So then I have this bandit tool. So to run that, this is the command. Once again, bandit -r dot means the present directory, and then I'm putting the output to the file which is bandit output.json. You can see everything is done successfully. So I'll just add. So you can see here the output of the bandit tool. So which is as we requested, which is in JSON format. So this is how you will run every tool. So I'm going. I just straight away go and create the entire pipeline that I have written it already. So I'll just show you walk you through different, one by one after that. Is here. Um, so this is the script to run the entire pipeline. Let's comment it down. So let me walk you through one by one. I have different stages, mainly secret scanning, and then for CA, and then SAST, then TAST. So first is Trufflecock. So you can see I named the job as Trufflecock so that I can not confuse with other things. Trufflecock is here. So the stage which Trufflecock belongs to is secret scanning. So for the tag, I'll just use the tag that I have written in the during the creation of the the runner, which is sizecheck, right? We can see I'll just passing the script that I have used during the in the Ubuntu system as it is, like you can see here. Will have dot, which means so every if the so when pipeline, sorry, the CI/CD pipeline is created, so the runner will clone the entire project into its kind of present directory. So you can mention dot itself. So it means dot means the present directory, right? So entire project will be cloned inside the build. So you can use it dot here. So dot here. So for truffle hog, so this is the command. So I'm output this. Appending this output to one second secret.json. One second, I have a problem. So yeah, then I have this artifacts. So artifacts is nothing but the files that have been created during this build running, right? So you can fetch it by using this artifacts command. So I just need this secret.json file alone. So inside this artifacts, I'll put the command, the path, name of the file. So the secret.json will be in the present directory. So I'll just passing the secret.json. So if you need multiple files, you can always use it like a array, so like put comma or something like that. So I only need this secret.json. So after the completion of job, this secret.json uh, will be taken from the job, and then you can access those. So just to give you, the just to give you the idea about job. So if the job runs, so the job will run in the runner, right? So it doesn't have any it doesn't store any permanent file in your system. So just everything will be in temporary folders. So you cannot, if the job completed in running is completed, you cannot go there and get the files that you needed. So you always need to get the files that if you needed anything. So for that, in GitLab they have this artifacts. Then I have this safety tool to run this safety tool. So this is the command to run. So in Python, every libraries is mentioned. Every library used in the Python code will be mentioned here, right? So I'll just verifying that requirement.txt file alone. So you can see here. So requirement.txt will be in the current folder while job is running. So I'm just checking this file alone. Then I'm throwing the output into this sca.json file. So that will be uh, taken away. So taken as artifact. You can see here. Sorry, I mean, I guess screen sharing will be off. Like that. Once again. So I have Bandit. Bandit tool, as I said, belongs to SAST category, right? So I have mentioned the stages SAST. Then I have the tag name as Isaac. So it is test because I have used the other, I mean, while preparing this, I used this test as a tag name. So that's why I'm replacing here. I mean, this Isaac. You can see this is also similar. So bandit R, which is a command to run the scan. So dot is the present directory. I'm using this JSON format, the other things. So fJSON will output the, I mean, the tools output in the console also. Then I'm also taking it as output into the file bandit output.json. So that I'm getting it as a artifact. Then I have this dash tool, so dash stage. So here I have three different tools, Zap, Nmap, and then Nikto. So for Zap, I have not installed what we say like other tools. So I have used a Docker image kit. So you can. So I have Docker installed on my system. So here I have pulled the image which is meant for Zap Docker stable. So I'm just using this image to run the scan to this. So you can see here. So like I said, I don't have any deployed application, right? So I'm making use of this vulnerable application present in the online. So this entire image will run a Zap scan into this, what do you say, this vulnerable application, and then take an output as test report XML. So I'm taking this output here. So then I have this Nmap scan. So for this, I'm scanning the IP which is in my local internet. So in my local router's IP. So default gateway's IP. So you can put it anything you want to. So for this also, I'm taking an output to this file. I'm taking this from artifacts. So then I have this, let's say, Nikto tool. So this also I have installed natively in the application. So this is the command to run. So I'm taking the output of the scan into the results.html file. Then I have this target, which is the same vulnerable machine. So then you can notice here, max time will be set to 60. So this Nikito particularly will run what you say, even 2 to 3 hours also for an application. So for this seminar, I'll just put it as 60 seconds. So we'll run only 60 seconds, then it will give the output whatever, whatever it finds during that 60-second period of time. So you can also notice always failure is set to false. So while most of these tools will, if it finds a vulnerability or something vulnerable, it will throw on a non-zero exit code. So you can see any tool that you run in the command prompt, so that will return some code, right? So 1 or -1 or 0, right? So if it is run 1 or something like that, it's treated as a failure. So I don't want the what you say, I don't want the pipeline to be failed. So that I have put it allow failure as fault. So even if it is the tool failed, so this pipeline will what do you say, um, make it as a successful thing. So that output will not change, but the pipeline will not get affected by that non-zero output. So this entire just different tag names here. Everything is set. Just commit the change. So you can see some it's just done something wrong here. So this syntax error will be shown here. I guess I missed the space here. So this syntax for a YAML file is need to be still followed to run this tool. And again, guess I made another. Here in the next. You can see the GitLab C configuration is valid. So the GitLab have this syntax checker inbuilt in this what do you say, in the server interface itself. Just go and see how the pipeline is doing. So the pipeline is running. You can see secret scanning is passed. Then I have this is passed with warning. So warnings, this is what I mentioned as allow fail. So what I mentioned in the allow failure variable, right? So this SCA tool will might have returned the non-zero code. So this allow failure is making it from stopping. You can see dash is running. So this Nikito and you can see this is here. So see this Zast scan. So Bandit, you can see everything is run successfully. This you can notice here the job is exit with status on. So this exit that allow failure is restricting this from failing. So for this output, right? So we have put everything in this output file. So we can go here and you can see this output is generated. So I just download the. You can see the entire output is generated here. So for that, every other tools also will generate this similar kind of output. So that we can find out here in this right hand panel of artifacts. I guess everything is done. So Nikto is running. So let me see map what it is generated. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it is scan the IP and then generated something. So you can see uploading artifacts, recommend those things here. So the file also uploaded successfully that you can go here and check. I guess it's need to be. You can see the XML format. So you can. So this is how the pipeline will work. So I guess this gives you an idea about the pipeline. So the tools you can see here. So the entire scan happened here. to the SAP scan. So instead of giving this, what do you say, the IP, sorry, the vulnerable application, we might have given the staging application or something like that. This is how the pipeline will go. So one more thing I missed in this when this pipeline is uploading, I mean, the integrating the pipeline with the vulnerability management. So I'm using this Archery 6, but I mean the latest version of Archery 6. So they are not currently supporting this API for this new version. So for I mean for now, I'm just going to manually upload the reports here. So just use the password. Sorry, the scanner password. You can see. I'll just upload this file. Yeah, you can see here the entire results are flashed. I mean, showing you in the detailed manner. It show you the low, medium, other things also. You can go inside it and mark it as closed or make it as false positive. You can go there and see solution if they provide anything. I mean, the tool provided anything. So the things also here. So this uploading process also we can we can able to do in the pipeline itself. So this API, it's not currently supporting, but you can get the idea. But they have this API, so you just need to call the API using any ways like curl or Python script, anything you can use. So using the script, you can upload this artifacts file to the Archery script. Now I don't have that thing, but you can do it. For the current version 2.00, they don't have this. So you can see here they have this other scan support also compliance scan support. So this is an open source tool. So this have limited amount of tools alone. So map SSL scan other things like that. So yeah, I think this have given you an idea. So then just jump onto the Jenkins part. So this Jenkins I have in my local primary system. So this is the dashboard of Jenkins. So you can see here done a lot of testing things. So this is how you can see Jenkins have different things. So freestyle project, pipeline, external job. So basically, while implementing DevSecOps, we will be creating the pipeline along. So these different things is meant for different purposes. So you can create freestyle jobs while deploying the application or doing anything specifically, or if you need a full entire pipeline, you can go and create a pipeline. So I'll just go and create a pipeline. Select the pipeline. You can see it is asking for something. So the entire configuration is here. So I'll just skip this part. So here also you can see the script part is here. So instead of that, you have this here in the Jenkins, you have two different ways to create your pipeline. One is scripted and then another is declarative way. So scripted here you can see and just they have this entire thing. So this is also what you say similar ways. So Jenkins follows this Groovy syntax. So, there is a type called Groovy script. So they follow that syntax here. So you can write down the entire thing that you have written here, right? So similarly, you can write down the other parts. What are all the steps that need to be done? So you can point it out here. So that's it. I'm just going to save here. So here by default, I have not integrated any Git here, right? So if you integrated any Git folder or project to this GitLab, Jenkins, the build will trigger automatically. But for now I don't integrate anything here. So I'll just go and create this tool create this build manually. You can see the build is running. So it's successfully run. You can see the console open. So instead of those hello world other things, you can so you will be writing this these scripts, right? So that were written here. So these command or other tools, if you are using Docker or depend on your environment. So you will be using those tools here in this Jenkins pipeline. So the other thing, so this is a one way. So I have scripted. So this is a scripted way to create pipeline. So there is another way. So there you have this file called Jenkins file. So the file name is Jenkins files. So there you have written this entire code like we did in the GitLab CA/ML. So here this has the file name as GitLab CA/ML, right? So for Jenkins, they have multiple ways to create pipelines. So one is this one that I have shown here. So other one is using the Jenkins file. So that file also similar to this will be in the project folder. Then GitLab will fetch the instruction from the Jenkins files and then run the instruction accordingly. So this is it. So yeah, once again, one slide value. Yeah. So then tools, I have used only the free open source tools here. So in the demo, so like I said in the last webinar, so there will be plenty of tools in every different what is it, type of testing. So these are all something, some famous tools here. Then so for SE and SAS, like I used the safety check and bandit, right, for here. So depends on the language that you are used in the application in the project. So you will be using different tools there. So bandit and safety check is used for Python oriented Python language oriented applications. So if you are using other PHP or other project, so then you need to choose the tools according with tools that supported with PHP. Okay? So some tools have multiple language support. So if you take SonarQube, then it support multiple language to scan. So some tools don't have that kind of facility, so they'll just support only the single language, like the Bandit did here. So these are all the tools. For Java, we have this SonarQube will do the job, and then this the find bugs. So Gradit, so that different tools are there. So not only this, we have other commercial tools also there. So these are all the tools available for different languages. So tips for selecting tools I have mentioned in the last part of the webinar. So the key points to keep in mind while choosing the tools is the tool should support a API or command line interface. So you can see in the demo, the Bandit or safety check is supporting CLI, right? So you need the tools like that to integrate in your pipeline. So that will be important keep in mind. So then you have output support. So the tools that I have shown you is generating, outputs, right? So in the preferred JSON or XML format. So that you need to keep in mind. So then you have lesser, tools should consume lesser resources. So the tools that I have used in the pipeline is very, very, consume very lesser amount of resources. So these are all the points that you need to keep in mind when choosing the pipeline. Then yeah, so Docker support. So you can see the Zap tool that I have used in the pipeline is using Docker image, right? So similarly, other tools also support Docker. So but I have used only Zap to demonstrate that. So Zap supports the Docker image Docker facility, so that I'll simply use the image to run the Zap scan instead of installing the Zap writing from scratch in my system. So yeah, then final thoughts. So so important or subtext of DevSecOps is making the security as everyone's responsibility. So that you don't want security person to come into the project and make you to find the vulnerability and report you the vulnerabilities like that. So everyone in the team while developing the application, they should have the responsibility of security. So even developer need to write the secure code. Then the operation or deployment team also need to uh, deploy or maintain their infrastructure securely. So these are all, uh, hidden agenda of DevSecOps. You can see the agenda of DevSecOps. So yeah, so one more thing, I showed you a pipeline, right? So if you have created a pipeline, that will not work in other projects also. So that does not mean you can use the pipeline to other applications. So every tools, every project or any what do you say, every application has their different way of creating the pipeline. So if you're using Java, then you need to make use of different tools, right? So single pipeline will not fit for all. That is what I'm trying to say. So you always have the challenges while creating the pipeline. So yeah. So let's just summarize my this two part. We recall the part one in the initial stages. Then we discuss about GitLab and Jenkins. Then we have created a pipeline and integrated the tools, security tools here. And then I have shown you some different tools here. So yeah. We'll just post your question. I'll just try to answer.
Thank you, Madhavan. Thanks for the wonderful webinar. Request the participant to post your question on the chat window. There are a couple of questions, Madhavan. I think you can just see.
Yeah. So how SonarQube different from Veracode? So I'm not familiar with the both of them, but they both, they are different kind of tools, I guess. Can we create pipeline from into on calling? I guess you cannot create this. You cannot install this GitLab or other tools in Kali, I guess. So I tried it, but I faced some issues. So you can install it in other Linux like Ubuntu or other CentOS or other things. So I guess Kali will not work there. So yeah, Ubuntu will work on CentOS. I guess I seen it work pretty much. Pretty much easily while I'm on. Then Kali, I tried it, so that's what I'm saying, right? So Kali, I tried it, but I'm not trained. I'm not able to install it. So I guess you can try and install whether I can. So I tried it in a much older version. I don't know now this 20 plus something version has came, right? So maybe that will this GitLab will go. So how essentially is security is yeah. So infrastructure is security. So always there, but you need to what you say in conventional method also, it will be there in the there by doing. The testers or the cloud reviewers will come and do the review, right? Instead of that, you have this entire what is the reviewing thing in automated way. So that is why. So that is with Kubernetes is not preferred over Docker and GitLab. So Kubernetes is there, but I haven't shown you. I mentioned in the slide also. So Kubernetes is there. If you want to use if you want to this clustering or other things you need, then you can use Kubernetes. Kubernetes is supported in GitLab executor. GitLab and Jenkins. So big difference is Jenkins do not have this Git support. This version control system we need, but GitLab has this this Git SCM support there. So GitLab, you can see it comes with a comes like a entire package for an software development team. So whereas the Jenkins only support is what you say. So this CI/CD creation only, right? So there you should be, so you are using your own Git server or GitHub. So other things, so other services that you need to integrate with Jenkins. In GitLab you don't use it, so you have your entire version control system in your hand. So yeah. So I guess yes, Abbas, I guess answered. So I'll just post my this commands and other things in the chat so that you can make use of it.
Anything else, Madhavan? I think all the questions have been answered.
Yeah, questions have been answered.
Thank you, Madhavan. Thanks a lot for conducting the 2 webinars, theoretical and practical. It was really a very good experience. I think the participant would have liked the most. We'll be uploading the video of the webinar on our SciSec YouTube channel. The part 1 video is already uploaded. Now I'll be sharing the screen how to take the assessment.